Matt, let's begin with you. I don't identify as conservative anymore. I think conservatism is a failed movement. No one can seem to point me anything that it has actually managed to conserve. I'm an anti-communist. Am I wrong? Am I nuts? Has conservatism been some rousing success and I just don't see it?
No, I think you're 100% correct when it comes to what was actually accomplished politically. I think that there was a lot of good intentions. I think that the idea was to conserve what was good about America and the American Republic. So, in concept, it makes sense. But I think the way that translated out politically, it failed to achieve a lot of its own political goals. And, I always go back to God and Man at Yale. William F. Buckley publishes this book 70 plus years ago about how Yale is full of communists, atheists, et cetera, teaching the elite youth of America. And here we are, and what has been done about that problem after all the ink spilt? Precious little, almost nothing. And Yale is even worse than it was then.
Steve, am I crazy? Is Matt crazy?
No, I think we should try, though, to deduce why this failure occurred. And I mean, we could write, volumes of tomes about this. But if I could point to one thing in the limited time we have, the right in America embraced an access-based political paradigm, or better described sometimes a seat at the table. That this is about relationships and networking. And one of the reasons why the right had to adopt this is because we don't have voluminous billionaires anxious to write people like the three of us checks to do hard right ideological pursuits like they do on the left. And so we had to monetize our own audiences. We had to monetize our ability to get access to the system in order to remain a part of it and to work within it. The problem with that, once you begin a monetization model with your activism, the temptation for grift to come in, and it's infected every last, it hurt the Christian right. They were the first kind of insurgent group on the right in the 80s and 90s. It then killed the Tea Party. You're watching this with MAGA now as well. Eventually, everything becomes ink. Everything does. They don't have this problem on the left because they have funding, ironically, privately, for people that want to make everything public and collectivist. They have private funding. So they stay ideologically principled. They practice leverage-based politics, meaning that they use leverage against the system. And now it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat in Louisiana or you're a Democrat in Los Angeles. If you are a Democrat, you support every single left-wing cause that they want, regardless of where you live. There's not a scintilla of difference between a Democrat senator that gets elected out of a southern state where he would fear reelect, or a Democrat senator from California. They all have the same agenda and voting records. Why? Because the base used leverage against the system, and now they control that party. They move it to the left. We did not do that on the right, and now we're stuck. We can't afford to lose elections because of how radical the left has become, but then we can't afford to vote for 90% of these Republicans because that's not winning either, based on what you articulated in the beginning of your monologue there. We're frankly, I guess, if to use the technical term, guys, we're screwed.
Matt, okay, so let's talk about something Steve just said there, because he's right. Some senator, some Democrat from Louisiana or somewhere, he is going to vote the same way the senator from California does. But he brought up an interesting point, maybe the point. The senator from the southern state who should fear losing re-election really doesn't. They really don't lose re-election very often. So doesn't that tell me it's a people problem more than anything else? Aren't the people the problem?
Well, yeah, I think what's happened is let's be honest and look inside of our own souls over the last years. I mean, a lot of people, you become complacent in a red state, right? I mean, you become complacent because you think life's been pretty good, and life has been, fairly decent. It's been roughly peacetime for a long time in America compared to other historical eras, right? So there's a lot of complacency in red states, although I think that is changing. I think people are starting to wake up, and the problem of holding these people accountable is, they come back and they say these nice things and everything seems fine in your red state, but then in reality, they let everything go to hell, right? And that's what's happened. Now, here, I do think that there are some good things happening. You see Texas and Florida actually reddening, and you see a desire, at least, for leadership that wants to move in a right-leaning direction. And that's one of this is new for me. I mean, to see someone like Greg Abbott, who's, not a communist at all, but not as strong as many of us would like him to be on many issues, that he feels as if he's forced to move right, because of the base in red states. So I think there's actually some hope there, and I think there's a lot of understanding now on the part of the base in these states, and they're actively looking for leaders, new leaders. And if there's any ray of hope in the future, this is it.
You want to watch our special on George Washington? It's freaking awesome. Well, you can. All you have to do is become a First TV supporter. That gives you access to all of our specials on demand, and it's cake. All you have to go to is thefirsttv.com/support. Thefirsttv.com/support. Become a supporter. Enjoy learning about George Washington.